Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar by Mahr, our featured product of the month. And this month, we're going to be talking about the MarSurf M310 Portable Roughness Measuring Instrument. I'm George Schuetz, the Director of Precision Gages at Mahr Inc. in Providence, Rhode Island. And if you have any questions during the presentation, use the chat feature and I will respond to your question after the webinar by email. Today we're going to learn about the MarSurf M310 mobile surface measuring system. But first we're going to discuss about why measuring surface finish, what surface finish is. We're talking about the product itself, the M310, its features, accessories, some applications, why it is needed by manufacturing, and we'll talk about the featured promotion for the product. Now, it's very important to monitor surface finish, and this has become more and more important in the past 50 years or so, because as dimensional tolerance tightened, form and surface errors became more significant or a larger part of that part tolerance. So, new products for aerospace, electronics, automotive, battery-powered vehicles, medical, and precision manufacturing are requiring these tighter tolerances. So every surface that goes into that part that's the result of the manufacturing process has some function, and unless it's measured, one will not know if the product will perform as it is desired. So you can see that this is just a little chart that shows from 1940 to 210 how tolerances have drastically been going down, but the form and the surface finish part of those tolerances becomes a bigger percent of the total tolerance. So it's important to start measuring that. Now, why do we want to control surface finish? Well, there's a number of reasons. The first is appearance, because the finish affects reflectivity and consistency. So for some parts, you might want a nice shiny surface. Other parts, you might be more dulled or subdued and so forth. And that goes along with making the end product be consistent and look exactly as the designer expected it to be. Now, the other option or other reason for measuring surface finish is the surface function, because surface can affect the way that coatings stick to the surface. Because if that surface is too smooth, maybe the paint will not stick, or if the surface is too rough, the coating won't cover it, and you'll see the imperfections in the surface on the part. And then there's surface interaction. Now, a sliding surface, you might want to have that surface be as smooth as possible and have a reduced surface finish. Or you might want to create a specific pattern within that surface so that gaps are there to hold oil or other lubricants and make those two parts or allow those two parts to work closely together. And finally, it helps to maximize the manufacturing process, because you can get different surfaces based on certain feeds and speeds of the machine tool, and you want to optimize the feed and the speed of the machine tool while still maintaining the surface that's desired. And then you can also use the surface finish to analyze process problems, because if the surface is exhibiting some certain patterns, it could be a vibration in a bearing or a out of square, out of position slide will affect the surface, and you can help diagnose those problems by looking at surface finish. But the surface finish, like I just said, comes from the manufacturing process itself. So in a typical lathe, you have a motor, a gearbox, and a drive belt or a gearbox, that each one of those components adds a little bit of vibration that is passed through the machine tool to the tool itself. And then the bearings of the machine tool spindle, the drive or the lathe bed of the machine has some straightness components. All those things get superimposed on the part being manufactured. And whether they're a very short-term wavelength or a longer-term wavelength, you have different types of characteristics applied on the surface. So they can be things like the roughness would be tool marks, or vibrations could be a waviness issue. Straightness of the bed is a form issue. But the total profile is really the combination of these various, well, layers that the machine tool is putting on the part. And surface finish measuring systems allow us to measure, break apart, and define those various components of the surface. Now, in the past, surface finish was a very manually oriented and something that was unique to the person making the measurement. You would take your thumb and scratch it over the part, and then try and compare that to a mechanical scratch pad. And that probably got us started in the world of surface finish. But now today there are many sophisticated methods that allow for precise measurement of surfaces. Both mechanical contact and even optical systems can allow us to measure surface finish. Now, primarily in the contact world, there's two methods that look at surface roughness evaluation. Mahr provides both types of evaluation systems, and they can either be portable measuring instruments or laboratory grade measuring instruments. Both of those can use skidded measurements. Mahr also provides a skidless portable measurement instrument or a laboratory-based instrument. Now, what is a skidded measuring system? Well, a skidded measuring system uses a probe that has a reference surface built into the probe itself, the skid itself. So as that probe is moved over the part by a drive, the skid runs over the part, a very precise measuring tip or stylus passes through that skid to get the actual roughness measurement. So these types of skidded measuring systems measure only roughness, an R parameter. Because the skid is floating over the surface, waviness is filtered out by that skid because it's following the total surface. So most portable measuring instruments are skidded based. Now, a skidless measuring instrument, it works a little bit more differently, and it can be more precise and provide roughness, waviness, and profile information. See, with a skidless system, the reference, which the skid passes over, is based in the drive. And now the stylus runs over the part, and it'll measure the roughness, the waviness, and the profile, and we can pull out all that information. So a skidless measuring system can provide a lot more detail, a lot more information, and usually can perform some higher resolution measuring results. Now, the way you analyze surfaces is using parameters, and parameters are mathematical ways of analyzing the trace data. Now, there are nearly 100 different parameters for surface evaluation, and because of the way they're analyzed, they can help identify and be used to find the stability of the manufacturing process, the functional characteristics of the surfaces, and they can help with analytical capabilities, understanding of the instruments. They can give you a lot of data. And when talking about the basic parameters of roughness, RA is the most common way of measuring a surface. Since the roughness profile contains peaks and valleys of different heights, an averaging method is used to quantify the surface. Now, this gives a good general indication of the surface. It's easiest to understand and visualize, and it's easily quantified with a single number. So it can be read out in micro inches or microns. An example of a roughness might be the RA equals 75 micro inches. So that gives the user a nice, simple way of quantifying what that surface is. But there's a little bit of a problem when you're doing a roughness average, is that you could have two very dissimilar surfaces, but you can get a very similar roughness average answer. So here's a couple of surfaces. Their their performance is very different based on how that surface is going to be used. So you can see with the profile or the surface on the right, this has the same depth of cut as the one on the left, but the part that rides up against the surface is a lot wider than those peaks on the other one. So RA is good for giving specified data its valuable monitoring process stability, but there's other parameters that may be needed to monitor the surface function. And that's when we start talking about the other parameters that are available. There's another pretty simple one where, if it wasn't for the peaks and the valleys on the surface on the right, these would have very similar roughness averages. So in this case, you might want to look at a R sub max value, which would help calculate and find those peaks within the surface. And a peak in this case might be a source of scratching or marring the part that it mates to. Or it could be, if you're trying to coat this part, that peak may pass through and not be coated by the coating. So different parameters for different characteristics. Now, RZ is a more common way of analyzing a surface in the rest of the world. It's really roughness depth. So RZ is the most commonly specified parameter throughout the industry for the rest of the world. And RZ is the average vertical distance between the highest peak and the lowest valley within 5 sampling lengths. RZ is a lot more sensitive to RA to changes in surface finish because the heights are examined individually and not averaged out. There is no formal conversion between RA and RZ. You can get estimates of 4 to 7 times the RA value for RZ, but that's a pretty wide difference or discrepancy. So you can have a guesstimate, but it's really, if you want to get the right answer, you have to measure and analyze the data with the parameter that's needed. Now, Mahr offers a complete portfolio of portable shop floor surface measuring tools, starting with the PocketSurf 4, which is the old timer here. It's been out since probably the mid 80s, and it's a skidded, very simple to use roughness measuring system. One button, one results, you get the measurements, and you're good to go. The next step is step up for us is the PS10, another skidded roughness measuring instrument, but this has nearly 100 different parameters, lots of ways to analyze and save the data. It's a one button, easy to use portable measuring system that's a very powerful tool, approaches what sometimes is in a laboratory grade system. Today's product of the month, though, is the M300 skidless roughness measuring system, which has all the same features of the PS10. It has a printer capability, and it has a lot more features for fitting into a process monitoring system. And then finally, with our M400, which is a skidless roughness, waviness, and profile measuring system, we can measure submicron surfaces, get the trace, measure all the parameters at the shop floor at the point of manufacture. So let's take a quick look at the product of the month, the M310, and learn about its features. With the M310, I think you're going to get guaranteed success. It's a flexible, multi-talented, skidded roughness measuring instrument that can be used at the point of manufacture under workshop conditions. It provides high precision measurements using a stylus method that allow for surface roughness testing on small and large workpieces. You can fixture a small workpiece to the gauge, or you can bring the M310 to a larger part. And the nice thing about the M310 is that users with little prior knowledge of quality control or surface finish will find this skidded probe system the perfect companion. It basically operates very similar to a smartphone with its touchscreen, sliding and selecting features, so it's very easy to pick up and begin to use immediately. Now, what are some of the key features? Let's start at the left and work our way around. We have a start button. Again, once it's set up, the green button starts the operation, and will provide the instant results of the measurement. Besides the start button, there's some status LEDs to let you know that yes, the system is collecting data, and that information is provided on a large illuminated touchscreen display. Just like a smartphone, you can rotate it for the best angle. It's scratch resistant, and you can see it's very clear and bright, so you can see the trace, you can see the results, and with the colors, you can know whether that part is good or bad compared to the tolerances. The big feature about the M310 is the interface. There's multiple interfaces, USB for controlling, micro SD card for saving data, and it has ability to send out information about itself so we know that the data was collected properly. The M310 can talk to a Bluetooth printer so that you can get hard copies of the data, and you can use that wirelessly or with a cable. We have an integrated removable calibration standard, which is used to ensure that the system is working properly. It's freely programmable, has function keys which you can dedicate to a function for changing tolerances, saving data, looking at different parameters. It has a removable drive system so that you can remove the drive and fixture it into small areas or sections of parts. And there's a probe protection, so if you need to get into even very small parts, you can take that off, and with the small probes, get into some very small holes. So like I said, the M310 has a large illuminated touchscreen display, acts like a smartphone. In order to make things a little bit easier for the beginner, we can use a error-free automatic cutoff selection based on the measurement results that are taken, so that the operator doesn't really have to know about cutoffs and cutoff lengths and so forth. The system can do that automatically for them. And the data is stored, the measurement data is stored directly as a PDF file on the device. There's no additional software required. You have the ability to customize that report. So basically, the M310 acts as a memory stick. You can plug it into your PC and pull out the result forms for each one of the measurements that you've made. Now with the M310, there's 31 parameters that offer performance similar to most laboratory grade instruments. You can also display and get printouts of material ratio curves or amplitude density curves. Those are types of features that are used often with bearings or parts being used interactively between them to ensure that the surfaces will perform together as they're expected. And with tolerancing, there can be limits set, so you can monitor the parameters. You can see you can get colors for the results, and it's a simple go no go method for the user to ensure that part is good or bad. With the integrated memory, you can store at least 500,000 measurements and 1,500 PDF reports. All the measurements are done by international standards, whether they be DIN or ISO or ASME standards. We can also save and transfer those measuring programs to a quick and easy Marwin program for further analysis. And you can easily assign some functions to a specific programmable keys to make, again, the ease of operation as easy as possible. Looking at the system, we just have a simple Bluetooth printer available that can collect the profiles of the MRC or ADC curves and provide those results that maybe go along with the individual parts being measured. The device will, you can look at the device and know its status so clearly and easy with the LEDs that are available on the screen. So the green LEDs tell you that the system is operating as expected. If there's an error message, a red light will tell you. And this M310 is rechargeable, battery operated. You can get over 1,200 measurements without having to recharge the system. Now, one of the nice things about the M310 is that the probe is removable from the unit itself. So this gives you a lot more flexibility with that removable drive unit. And you can, does come with a attachment so that you can raise the system when you use the integrated drive to different heights to match up with the part. It has the integrated removable calibration standard, and it comes with a sturdy case with ability to store many accessories within that case as a standard product. Now, what's unique about the M310 is the interfaces. Besides having the SD card for storing a lot more data, you can get up to 32 gigabytes of data. You can also use that to update the software as we normally would update, adding new features and corrections and bringing the product up to the latest standards. We also have the Mahr Connect duplex interface, which is connected to our Mahr, our free MarCom professional software, which allows you to store the individual results through MarCom into an Excel or a Microsoft program. There's a USB interface for a connection to the PC. So like I said, this can act like a memory stick, and you can download all that information to the PC, or you can remotely control the unit through ASCII codes. They start a measuring cycle, send data, stop the measuring cycle to use and build in the M310 in an automated gauging solutions. And there's also a USB-A interface where you can plug in your Bluetooth adapter, a keyboard, barcode scanner to, again, help eliminate the setup information and make it as easy for the operator to use. One of the things about measuring data is a great thing to measure and record the data, and you can get the time you did that, but you may not know exactly which instrument performed that data. By having that information, you really tie together the whole package where you have the data, you have the date, you have the instrument that made the measurement, and knowing that, you know when the last calibration was done, and you can really document the whole process. So that makes that compatible with the latest requirements. An IATF document was created to ensure that data integrity is correct. This meets all those standards. And you can also set up the M310 with the free MarCom software by setting the parameters for tolerances and so forth can be done in MarCom, download it to the M310, and the operator has the new values. And you can remotely start the measurement with MarCom via the keyboard or a start key on the unit, and you can, or a foot switch. You can do the control remotely. The USB interface allows for connection of a wireless receiver transmitter. You can use a barcode scanner to set the unit up to look at the barcode from a particular work cycle and load all those tolerances, the parameters that you want to measure, all in the system, so the operator doesn't have to reset the unit when a new part and its parameters come along. You can also use the a USB keyboard with the product. We do have ability to put headers, send messages back to through the network back to a user, and you can use a keyboard to help with that data information and transfer. And then finally, with the remote control of the ASCII commands, you can really tie this into a PLC computer controlled gauging station where parts might be remotely loaded to the PS10 of a working fixture, and then the robot or the PLC takes the M310, tells it to start making the measurements, and then requests the information back from it. So it can really build the M310 into automatic gauging applications. And here's some typical examples on the shop floor where you can use the M310 as a portable device. You can remove the probe to make some measurements with the probe application, whether it be big parts or some very small parts. The M310 has the ability to provide the solutions. You can see with this special solution here with the MarSurf M310 on the lower right is a dedicated fixture gauge designed to measure surface finish. No position of the probe, the part sits on the gauge and the start button is pressed and the measurement being taken. So we can make and provide custom solutions to make your surface finish measurement a lot easier and more operator friendly to the user. Now the M310 comes with a lot of probe options. A standard probe, we have extensions, a small bore probe, deep groove probes, a probe for measuring laterally or also into tooth flanks. So we have a number of very unique probes to meet all the various applications of surface finish measurement. Other accessories are available are the data connection that can go to MarCom to help store the data. We have and you can get replacement test standards if needed. We have a magnetic holder to hold the part onto larger parts. And there's also display protection films, real glass ones that will help protect the floor, that help protect the M310 display in the tougher shop environments. Like I said, the M310 comes in a set, in a kit, and that kit includes the M310, the probe protection, the height adjustments, the power supply, the USB cable, extension cables for the drive, screwdriver, all the important things that allow you to start making measurements with the M310. And then we have the system with the printer. So this has the ability to get the rechargeable printer with it that you can use and document with the M310 at the point of manufacture. So the M310 is our featured product of the month. We've learned all the capabilities and the importance of measuring surface finish. We learned that the M310 is Mahr's most powerful but still easy to use roughness measuring system. It can be used for portable or tabletop applications, for special automated applications. It is the choice for a lot of point of manufacture inspections, and it's our product of the month, so it can offer extremely high value. So why Mahr? Mahr has a broad range of industrial products, and we saw the full range of portable surface finish gauges that we have. We have the people to help support you in the application competence for any type of application, whether it be surface finish or dimensional or roughness. Our wireless hand tool portfolio, I think, is one of the most comprehensive out there and help you reach Industry 4.0. And we also offer promotional prices and high quality to help you receive the best value. So after this webinar, we're going to email you a link to recording of this webinar and some product of the month data sheets about the M310. So we thank you for attending today. But the M310 is a featured product of the month, and it does come with special promotional prices. We're offering the M310 in both the kit form with and without the printer at a special price, and I think it's a great time to take advantage of this pricing. Along when you get or decide to purchase the M310, we'll send you a nice Mahr mug to help you remind you of every time you have your coffee to think about Mahr. So take a look at the promotion, take a look at the promotional prices, the data that we're going to send you, and I'll think that you'll understand what a special value the M310 is. So thank you for your attention. It's been great talking to you about the product, and I hope you enjoyed and learned something about surface finish and the M310.